السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله أحمده وأستعينه وأستغفره وأستهديه وأعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. اللهم لك الحمد كما تحب وترضى. اللهم لك الحمد يا ربنا كما يليق بجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. الإمام أبو نعيم الأصفهاني was one of the muhaddithin, great muhaddithin, and he had a nice book called Hulyatul Awliya. It talks about some of the very special stories of the most righteous people. So he mentioned a story that was said by Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari is a great Sahabi who Rasulullah ﷺ used to ask him specifically to recite Quran in front of him for how beautiful his voice was. So Abu Musa radiallahu anhu أرضاه used to tell his children, اذكروا صاحب الرغيف. Remember the man of the loaf, the bread loaf. So what was this? He told them that in the past time, in the time of Banu Israel, there was a man who devoted and dedicated 7 years of his life to do nothing but ibadah. So he was in his صومعة, his temple. But then after 7 years of full devotion and dedication for worship, he did a major mistake. He found a woman on the street and the shaitan was whispering and he did the haram. So when he woke up from this haram, and as you know, all those things, lusts and desires that people have, they are very temporary. And the person at the time when they do them, they would lose their mind. They would lose their brain, subhanAllah. Anyways, he woke up from this. Woke up meaning from how deeply this sin was. So when he woke up from that sin, he realized how he was bad. After all those 7 years of full devotion that he would do this. So what he did, he spent 7 days. In those 7 days, every single step that he would do, he would make a sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. Of course, this is not in our sharia, this was in their sharia and their time. So every step he would do, he would make a sajda. You just imagine how long it would take him to go anywhere. For 7 days. And then he found a place where there were 12 very poor and needy people. And one of the great donors used to bring them a bread loaf, 12 for each one he will give or pass 1 loaf. So this man, he lost everything, and because he was alone, he felt maybe he can stay with them and get some of this food that was donated by the man. So on that next day, the man came with 12 loaves. He didn't know about this newcomer, and he passed 1 for everyone. So the sinner got 1 of the loaf, so one of the 12 people did not get his loaf. He got mad. He went to the donor and he said, "Where's my loaf today?" He said, "I don't know. It seems that someone took your loaf." So he left, and the sinner was very hungry, and that was the only food he can get. But he also found that this person was also hungry, and he didn't get his daily loaf. So what he did, he gave his loaf, or the loaf he got, and gave it to the person who used to be a part of this 12 people. And then he passed away. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said that it was stated in the Israeliyat, which we accept, that his whole deeds throughout the 7 years where he devoted his time to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, were measured against the 7 days that he spent where he was making sajda for every step. And those 7 days were better, were heavier on the scale. And then those 7 days of making sajda for every step were measured against the time when he gave that loaf to the needy. And that loaf was heavier on the scale. So he, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, used to tell his children, اذكروا صاحب الرغيف. Remember that man of the loaf. For that little act, he did something that in the sight of Allah was heavier than a 7 year of full devotion to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that actually tells us a lot about حقوق العباد. You know, the right of people? We always talk about the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on us. We make sujood, we make siyam, we make salah, we make dua. All of these are important and great. But there is something very important that sometimes we miss, and that is how much are we giving of the rights of the people around us. If giving a loaf is more heavy than devoting yourself to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let alone when they come together. And if that is the case, then we should be worried about what is even more important than giving a needy food to eat. What is that? To respect their honor. To respect their honor. Some of us may find it easy to make a backbiting against a person and to talk negatively about a person, so much so that they will attack their reputation. And they forget that this sin on the sight of Allah might be worse than committing adultery. And when a person keeps the honor of the Muslims, especially the Muslims, then that person is doing a huge, great good deed that we'll see in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who respect not only حقوق Allah, but also حقوق العباد. جزاكم الله خير. صلى الله على محمد.